Stuff. Have good connection. We lost you because of the connection issue. Hi, everybody. Hey, Grayson. There, that's better. Yeah, you're a little bit better now. You're clearer.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're not on Wi-Fi and if you have any other devices that are connected, just pause those a little bit so we make sure and have good streaming here. Hey, Roberta, we just wanted to introduce the Thinking of Art Call series. Again, this is a way to introduce creatives from around the world. Today we have Marcia Prentice, who's a photographer and author. She's going to be talking about her book, How We Live, which documents designers and artists from around the world. So can you jump into how you got started as a photographer?
Yeah, so I studied interior design at a design school in LA called FITM, and that was sort of my introduction to art, interior design. Also, my father's a home builder, so I've always been around since a kid, construction, home building, design, so I've always had that in my background. And then I'm a self-taught photographer, so I combine my interior design skills and background and photography. And sort of like, when you study interior design, there's many paths you could take, and mine was not to practice interior design, but to capture it, to work with other interior designers and show their spaces through photography. So that was sort of my intro into the design and art world.
Yeah, so what was the, how did you come up with the idea of How We Live and the book that's already been released?
Yeah, so How We Live is the homes of designers and artists around the world. So basically, as I was photographing interiors in LA, a lot of the spaces were of furniture designers or architects or artists, and often they would tell me like, oh, this space is inspired by Scandinavian design, or this was inspired by my trip to Italy. And I always heard that, like inspired by another country, another place, or vacation.
Yeah.
So after a while, I was like, oh, I want to travel and I want to go to these places that everyone's talking about, that the designs in the US are inspired by. And I was just, itching to travel. So I came up with How We Live and, started traveling mostly through Europe. I went to 24 countries in Europe.
24 countries.
Yeah.
Over what time period did you do those travels?
It was about 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow.
In the Europe trip, I did like 20 countries in 3 months. It was this crazy, crazy trip. And then I also went to Mexico. I went to Guadalajara, Mexico City. I went to India. I went to Beirut. I went to Iceland. So, it was really like, I didn't want to just hit the main design meccas, like, let's say, Milan or, New York City or LA. Like, I did that also. But I wanted to go to unexpected places like Mumbai or Beirut or Reykjavik, Iceland, to juxtapose it against the main design cities. Because I feel like we're always seeing places in New York. We know New York artists, or we know LA, or we know Milan or Rome or whatever. But, to find an artist in India is cool. It's not something we talk about all the time.
Sure. So I want to talk about some of the cities that you captured in your book. But first, can you show us your cameras, some of your cameras that you use? I think this is a really interesting thing for people to see.
Definitely. So for How We Live, I shot digital. But then for my new project, which is based in Italy, and traveling around Italy, capturing the beauty of Italy through the landscape, the family, the people, I really, I have such a love affair with Italy. I've been going for 8 years now. And Italy has such a, old history and nostalgic feel. So I wanted to buy a camera that sort of was vintage, that felt the look and feel of Italy. So I can show you. So,
amazing.
This is
okay.
The first camera that I bought. Let's see if I can show you. So this is about 35 years old. It's a Hasselblad 500 cm, of course, all analog. And so I was shooting mostly for my Italy project, I was shooting mostly film, but then also Hasselblad loaned me. So this is the film back. So Hasselblad also loaned me a digital back, so I could take, I can't take it off right now, but you could take off the film back and put on a digital and shoot digital with this camera. It's a square
It's I don't
format.
yeah, I don't know if it's difficult for others to hear, if other people are having problems hearing you, but maybe speak up just a little bit more.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
hard for me to hear you even I have the volume all the way up on mine.
Okay.
So what kind of camera is that again?
So this is a Hasselblad 500 cm. It's medium format, which is a
Okay,
square format. And so it's a little different, higher quality than, let's say, 35 millimeter. 35 millimeter would
beautiful.
be like the rectangle format. Um, so it's about 35 years old, and it's
Wow.
film camera, all analog, of course.
Is it super heavy?
Yeah, it's very heavy. That's the only thing. Like I love it, but like to travel with, and have it, wrapped around your neck, it gets really heavy after a while. But I mean, back in the day,
Yeah.
cameras were like built, so, like the quality is so much different. I mean, just like
Hmm.
my favorite part of this camera is the sound.
The sound. Oh, it's so cool.
Everything about it, just has a different feel.
Beautiful. I love that. So that's one of the cameras. Is there another camera or is that the main
Yeah.
one?
So this was my first purchase for the Italian project. And then I was wanting to shoot like, I've always done photography but never video. And I'm like, oh, it'd be great to do like some B-roll video or just to make like a 1 minute clip. It just adds something different. And so I said, okay, but I want a camera that matches the vintage film, this one, an old camera, maybe film,
Hmm.
and so I just bought this one. It's
Amazing.
a
What is
love
that
affair
camera?
with vintage cameras. So this is, you can see it really well. It's a Bolex 8 millimeter, so slightly different than Super 8, but similar, I guess you could say. And this one, I just got it, so I'm assuming it's about 30, 40 years old. Of course, all film. The film's very rare, it's hard to find, and
Wow.
black and white film. So,
So how is the picture quality different for that camera versus the other one,
the Hasselblad or
the
the
Hasselblad? Yeah.
Hasselblad?
What's the difference between the two as far as like the picture quality and the texture and
So the Hasselblad and just medium format cameras in general are higher quality, let's say the highest of 35 millimeter, right? Because it has a larger negative size. So when you're doing, let's say, shooting 35 millimeter, your negative size is, you know, the dimensions it is. And then when you do enlargements, you're enlarging from the negative size. But then with medium format, because it has a larger negative size, then when you do enlargement, you retain more of the quality. So
hmm
medium format is higher quality than 35 millimeter, and then like large format cameras would be higher quality than medium format.
hmm
So that was one of the draws, producing books, always, you're printing and, for a book, you want the highest quality. So that was one of the motivating factors for getting a medium format camera.
Sure.
Also just, I think it's interesting with this square format.
Right. Okay, that's cool. So do you have a favorite? Do you like to work with one over the other, or how do you decide which one to use in your shoots?
You mean digital versus Hasselblad?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, like the Hasselblad is very artistic. It's fun. I mean, everything. Every time I shoot with it, I get so much attention. And if it's, like if I'm, let's say, staying with the family in Italy, maybe the grandfather would say, "Oh my God, it's a Hasselblad. I remember that from my kid, from my childhood. It was so expensive. It was the top camera." So, it's a fun camera. I really enjoy it.
That's cool.
Sometimes, like, I usually travel with a digital camera also, just because it's practical, right? And I'm going all the way to Italy, and I have to transport the film there, take care of the film when I'm in Italy, and I'm usually going for like, 1 month, 2 months, so a long period of time. And then when they come back into the US, I can't put the
Hmm.
film through the scanner, so I have to get hand checked. And it's a whole thing, and just you have to be really
Sure.
careful the film doesn't get damaged. So it's good to have some on film and then practical reasons shoot digital
We
also.
We have a question. What kind of reaction do you get showing up with such a vintage camera?
Like I said, you get a lot of attention, and you know, it's a good introduction because, like in Italy, you know, I'm meeting a lot of strangers, and I'm asking, like, you know, can I photograph your family? Can I photograph your kids? Can we, you know, arrange something with the grandparents? So you're asking a lot, and you know, someone meeting you for the first time, it's a good like icebreaker. You know, people get excited, like, oh wow, you know, she's got this old camera, you know, and then we start talking
Yeah,
about the camera, and then it, you know, people get excited to
it
want to be.
breaks the ice for you. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and then I'm
Well,
doing something different.
yeah, and I know in promoting the call, we shared a number of images. One was a table set in a 14th century villa overlooking Tuscany. Can you talk about that image in particular?
Sure. So of course there's many stories with all the travels and the project. And so that home and that family is really, really special. They are in Tuscany. It's a noble family, and their family has been in Tuscany for many centuries. And I got connected with them through my best friend in LA, who happened to know that family but had never met them. So I got the opportunity at the beginning of my project to stay with them, to have dinner together, you know, and they introduced me to many other like noble families, aristocratic families throughout Italy, and really made my project. So I mean, the villa is, as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful. The family is fantastic, and my whole project started at that house and with that family.
That's incredible. We have another question. Can we
Yeah.
see examples of pieces from each camera?
Pieces.
Pieces, I guess. What do you mean by that, Corey? Do you mean examples of the images that she shot from the different cameras? If that's what you mean. I don't know if you can if you can access your computer to show any images, but while you think about that, let's talk about some other images that you shot. I know of the little kids. I thought the one girl in Rome
With the
eating the
ice
ice
cream.
cream was adorable. So, what did you find there was? I mean, obviously, you know, you had to ask permission before you shot these families, but how did you decide like which families to shoot?
So the original concept for the project was, and sort of my perspective, you know, when I go to Italy, like I love the old families, the old culture, just in general. I mean, you see my cameras, I'm into vintage, right? So
Yeah.
I wanted to, and that first family was, you know, very old, noble family of Tuscany, very traditional. And they set the tone and the example for the aesthetic of my whole project. So the families that they were referring me to were similar to them, right? They've been noble families or a prominent family in Italy for many, many years. And so, you know, when I was, you know, meeting and photographing families, I wanted sort of that similar look, right? And sometimes I would like suggest like, you know, if we would go out shooting for the day, like outfits to wear, like no logos on the shirt, like nothing modern, just everything kind of that
Hmm.
beautiful classic Italy that we sort of all have in our minds.
Well, I love Italy so much. I love the food, of the culture, of the fashion, everything about Italy. Um, why? Because you spent so many, you know, what, 8 years basically working on
Yeah.
this. You know, you have the How We Live book, which documents homes of designers and artists around the world in different cities. But then, can you talk about this new project that you've been working on that focuses only on Italy?
So this project, so I've been going to Italy for 8 years now. You know, obviously fell in love with it. I go every single year, and every time I go, I meet, you know, more and more people, and you know, just want to get, you know, deeper into the culture and really understand it. And so that's how this project came about. I wanted to know, like, you know, what's the root of Italian culture? If you understand, you know, let's say the family, for example. If you get inside Italian family, you're gonna understand everything about Italy and everything about the culture because everything starts within the family. So that was the beginning of the project, to really like understand the culture and get inside it and show like an insider perspective of Italy, not what you would normally see. Like normally you
Hmm.
go to Italy and you would go to the Colosseum and all these like wonderful places and take photos, but it's very rare to get invited inside the family. It's actually a huge honor to get invited inside the family and have dinner together and be inside the house and be with the kids and the grandparents and all of that.
Of
So
course.
that's what made it super special.
So what about the interaction with the families in Italy were some stories that you can share with us, and what did make it so memorable for you?
I mean, it's the people. The Italian hospitality is some of the best in the world, and the fact that I was a stranger. I showed up in Italy with this crazy idea for a project, and it's my dream, and everyone sort of embraced it and gave me everything that they could, and allowed me to stay in their house and spend time with the kids and photograph the kids, and I would have suggestions for photos, like can we get
Hmm.
the grandparents and the cousins and the aunts and uncles and everyone together over the dinner table, so I can get this amazing shot. So we do things like that, or like, sailing on the Mediterranean, like all these sort of like really special ideas that I had in my mind. And families were really open to it and excited and, involving the rest of the family.
So what was the main contrast that you noticed by growing up in the States versus, how you were raised and how, your friends were raised versus how the Italian children are raised and the families interact? What are the main contrasts that you can highlight for us?
I would say like Italian kids are really sweet. They're so innocent and they're really connected, of course, to the families, everything. Even adults are still very connected to their parents and their grandparents. It's so essential to the culture.
Hmm.
And they really appreciate nature and their country and are very proud. And they spend a lot of time doing simple things. I mean, I grew up in a small town, so I grew up bike riding and being in nature and fishing and like very, very simple stuff. But I feel like living in LA now and today's upbringing is not that simple anymore. But I find in Italy it's still that way, which is really sweet to see that.
That's beautiful. And of course, like the food and the fashion and the history overall is just, it's incredible and inspiring. So let's go back to the How We Live book a little bit, because you went to London, Milan, Mumbai, Beirut, and obviously Italy too. But you talk about like what it was like in Beirut in navigating, kind of photographing families there and being a woman and, in that culture and environment. Did you feel comfortable? Did you feel uncomfortable? Like, what was it like?
Yeah, that was that was a big challenge. I went to Beirut after I spent 3 months in Europe. I had also been to Mexico, and I said, okay, I'm ready for the Middle East now. I've never been to the Middle East, but I think I'm experienced enough to go. And so I had a contact there for an architect, and funny enough, his wife was actually from California. So he says, okay, my wife's American, come, we'll,
Hmm.
show you a great time. And so I said, okay, I feel great, I'm gonna come. And then like 2 days before I was gonna come, I was reading all this stuff, on the consulate about, all the travel warnings and stuff. And, like anytime you go to the Middle East, it's not 100% safe, like you can
Hmm.
go, you just have to be a little leery. And so I was seeing all these travel warnings, and like a terrorist was trying to blow up this American hotel. So I got really freaked out. And I called the architect's assistant and I said, I don't know if I should come. Like, is this normal? Like, I'm just seeing all these warnings and a lot going on. And she's like, Marcia, this is how it is. We're used to this. This is normal for us. You have to decide yourself if you're going to come. We can help you as much as we can, but it's a very uncertain state. It could change day to day, and you make the decision. And so it's really, I mean, I didn't tell my family all that, but it's a really a scary thing. Like, and it's real. It's not a joke.
Right.
And then also I'm traveling with, I started to learn, I'm traveling through immigration, I'm traveling with cameras, I'm female, I'm traveling alone. There starts to be a lot of suspicion going to places like that, like I started to learn to say, not say, oh, I'm a photographer. Okay, you're a photographer going to this country, you're a journalist, right? You're a reporter. And so you start to have to be leery. You don't really want to say in some places, I'm American, I'm alone, I'm a photographer. You can go, but it's better to have contact. You have to do your research. You have to be careful. Never let people know that you're alone or you're walking around with expensive gear. Also not very smart.
Right. Right. So were there any cases where you felt you were worried about your safety at all that you care to talk about, or is that too personal?
No, actually, so I went into it, of course, really nervous. And the moment I arrived, so, Middle Eastern people had the same hospitality as Italians, super warm, very friendly. And the moment I arrived and landed, the architect had set up a guest house for me to stay in with this couple that was running this beautiful guest house in the city, which was incredible. And so they, arranged for me to be picked up from the airport, made sure I was okay. And I was there 10 days. I was never alone. It was hanging out with the architect or his assistant or other designers or other artists. And people were so excited that I came and I trusted and wanted to be there, was excited to be there. That it was just,
Cool.
I was, always surrounded by people let me show you my studio, let me show you my project, let me, take you to drinks or whatever. I had such a great experience, and I didn't know what to expect, but it ended up being amazing in the end.
That's beautiful. I'm really thrilled to hear that. Can you talk about some of the homes that you shot in London and what that was like?
Sure, yeah, it was my first time in London. I shot the home of this really sort of avant-garde furniture designer. And yeah, London, of course, is an amazing city. It's huge. I was there maybe 4 or 5 days. Of course, not enough time. I mean, when I was traveling through Europe, I did 20 countries in 3 months. So it was a long weekend or 5 days or 6 days. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I'm going to come back. But I just want a little taste of everything, to kind of experience as much as I can.
So cool. Did you have a favorite city during the How We Live book, process?
I mean, of course, there's so many. I would say Beirut was incredible. I mean, it was so unexpected and just so different, that I don't know. I have a special place in my heart for Beirut, and the people I met there was incredible.
Yeah, I
Also,
really want to go. It's on my list to go for sure.
yeah,
I have
definitely,
some friends
definitely.
over there actually, so
Yeah, I mean, it's really especially Beirut, Middle East in general is one thing, Lebanon is another thing, and Beirut is something different. It's I don't know, you have to do your research and you'll understand, but Beirut is very cosmopolitan. It's
yeah.
called the Paris of the Middle East, so.
We have another question. Do you have any experiences you would not want to repeat?
Interesting. Hmm. I don't know. I mean, it's sort of everything's a learning experience. I haven't had any bad experiences. It's all been, there's
It's been a great,
challenging things, but
yeah.
it's all been really wonderful, and I've met so many amazing people. So
So that's a good question. Thank you, Corey. Um, yeah, so did you, were you able to access any images on your computer that you can show, or is that, do you feel comfortable doing that?
I'm not sure how to do it, but a lot of the work is, especially for the Italy stuff, is on my Instagram, so you can go there.
Okay, so Corey,
Ask me.
look at her Instagram and you can see the different, and just message her if you want, ask certain questions after, it'd be great. So what's next for you? Like, what do you have? What's the next 6 months look like? I mean, as we're able to travel more, I don't know if that's something you're thinking of doing, but I'm curious, because you're such an adventurer and you've covered so much ground in so many countries in really pretty short period of time. So what do you have
Yeah.
planned coming up?
So since I've been working this Italy project for 3 years, I really want to finish it, and I want to go back to Italy. I
Hmm.
didn't, no one expected, what's going on in the world right now, and that we wouldn't be able to travel, and with the
Hmm.
pandemic, I mean, no one expected that. I mean, originally it was like I go to Italy every year, I go in the summer or fall, and then work on my project. I mean, that was the plan. So now it's sort of up in the air, you know, if I'm going to go, when I'm going to go.
Sure.
But, that's sort of the plan. That's the step forward is to go back, finish the project. And I feel like now more than ever, like I've been going to Italy for 8 years. Italy has given me so much, and I'm doing this amazing project that, like, I don't know, in a funny way, like I need to stick by Italy. Like I need to, commit to my project, and I need to show,
Sure.
how wonderful it is. Like people need to know. I mean, they've been hurt a lot by tourism because of the pandemic and how hard they've been hit. So
Hmm.
people need to start coming back when the time is right. And I think I need
Yeah,
to be one of the first people to sort of lead that and show that you know, it's fine again.
that's beautiful. I love that. What advice would you give there's somebody out there that wants to explore photography or writing because you're a photographer and an author? Um, what suggestions or tips or advice could you give those individuals?
I would say, I mean, a lot of people have come to me as like, oh, I want to do a book. Can you help me? Or like, how did you get started? Or like, I've always wanted to do photography. And like, I could give you so many resources and books to buy, whatever. And I think the thing is, like, I have the dream for how we live, and you just got to start. I mean, like, in the beginning, you'll make mistakes or, whatever.
Hmm.
But just don't live with the dream too long. You gotta like take the first step. You gotta start, and then from there, once you start, I mean, I had so many people like open up and want to help me with my projects because they saw I had a dream and I was passionate about something. So the world
Hmm.
will open up to you if you just take the first step and put your heart into it and put your passion into it. So that's my advice.
Did you have to set hard deadlines for yourself in order to complete the book? And because it could have dragged on, right? You could have just kept traveling and traveling and for 20 years and then finish the book. So how did you decide to cut it off and like finalize it?
Yeah, I mean, the Italy project, people are starting to ask, like, okay, Marcia, you said you were going to be done, and I'm having so much fun traveling.
Yeah.
But when I started How We Live, I wanted to do a book. That was the initial idea because you're traveling, you're taking these amazing photos, but like for me, I wanted to have a direction behind it. I wanted to have a theme, a purpose, why I was doing this, and then I wanted to know then goals. So I said, okay, I want to do a book. So I did so much research before I started traveling. Like, okay, if I do a book, how many pages, how many chapters, how many images do you need? Like, how do you kind of pull this all together then, and like, how do you pitch this to publishers? So, there was always a plan and a bigger idea. And then from there, I mean, when you start, it's so overwhelming, right? Like, how do you start a book? And it's
Sure.
like multi years. So you just kind of just start planning and organizing and seeing the whole picture and the end goal.
So where can we get your book, How We Lived?
So it's published by Tenoise, which is this fantastic German publisher. So you can go to their website. Amazon has it, Barnes and Noble. Of course, many online resources.
Amazing. Okay, and do you have a time frame for the new book that you're working on?
I know everyone keeps asking me. It's supposed to be done. Probably like if I can go to Italy this year, I'm not sure if I can, but if I can go to Italy this year, I really want to finish. And then from there, it's like finalizing the publisher, bringing that element all together. So I don't know, year and a half. I mean, it's a whole process to publish a
The
book,
big
of
lead
course.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, well, it's wonderful what you're doing. Thank you for taking time today to share your passion projects and all the beautiful work that you've done so far. And I can't wait to hear how it goes on the new book. And if you make it to Italy this year, and I'd love to do another call with you at some point in the future. So let's do that if you want.
Definitely, it was super fun. Maybe the next call is like when I'm in Italy, then I can show you
Oh yeah, I
around
love
a
that.
bit.
While you're eating gelato and some yummy pasta or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like on the sailboat in the villa, that type of like
love that.
maybe vicariously
Love,
cool.
love that. For all my Italian friends, sending lots of love to you guys. Well, I will let you go for now, and this video will be archived on my IGTV, so you can rewatch it if you missed the first portion. But Marcia Prentice, thank you for joining Thinking of Art today.
Thank you so much. It was really nice chatting, and I hope we can all get back to Italy really, really soon.
I know. Let's all go to Italy and
I know.
support them. All right. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you so much. Bye.
All right. Bye, Marcia. Bye, everyone.